Little coffee burp. Start the podcast. Welcome back. My name is Dean. Nice to see everybody. We are here for you today, and we got lots of stuff to get to. We got some tech to get to. Big announcements about TikTok. We're gonna have some fun with that. We're gonna talk about surgery. We're gonna talk about people who do their own surgery. That's a new thing. I didn't know. Our guy Locke is a pro at it.
Hold on.
And,
are we live or are you recording? What are you doing?
No, we're live right now. We're recording, but we're not live. We're kind of live and recording. It's live recorded.
I'm against this.
You're not making me do. No way. No, because we have to flex.
I'm against this.
So there's a lot of people listening that would have no idea that wasn't live if you hadn't have just brought it up.
I just fucking ruined it for you because I'm against it. I'm anti-record. I'm not going to be as good.
That's bullshit. Everybody's better when there's no pressure of a live studio audience. And I've told you that like 1,000 times. 1,000 times. And last night we were on the phone talking about the podcast, and I'm like, okay,
way better live.
We're gonna. It's not. It's gonna be better recorded, and we're gonna have a great time because this is when Alex could join us.
I'm actually only gonna put in 25%.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Alex is gonna bring the other 75, and I'll just kind of hang out and watch. I'm just glad you're here, dude. Like really glad you're here because we've got Alex to catch up with, and he's in the green room. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Bring Alex in on our recorded show.
Live on a recorded program. Ladies and gentlemen, 6'1", 210, looks tremendous in Bermuda shorts. Out of Urpin, Ukraine, please welcome back Mr. Alex Dayrabekov, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, guys.
Nice.
Are you okay? Sorry, listen. I know you're in the middle of a war. Let's just deal with Lachlan's issue before we get going.
Yeah, it's more important than yours.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Are you okay with recording, or would you rather go live?
Me?
Yeah.
Whatever. I just enjoy the time with you guys.
Yeah, me too. Why can't it just be that, Lachlan? Why can't it?
We're going to continue to fight about this. We can put it aside today and move on. But Alex, how are you?
Oh, a lot better than we spoke last time, especially for the past week. It's such a great week with lots of good news, starting with Biden's visit a week ago, and then stupid, crazy Kremlin dictator's speech on Tuesday, and then every day more and more good news.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can you give us a rundown on what the good news is? Sorry, Dean.
Yeah, no, dude, did you not see him have lunch with Biden at Christmas time? Did you not see Alex and Biden having a bite to eat together? Look at this tweet. He said, happy to see a good old friend with some Ukrainian borscht and some ice cream. There he is with
I like Biden's having an ice cream cone and Alex is having a shot.
Yeah, so simply, and I've been asked about it, and it's simply because he's driving. He cannot drink.
He's driving, so he couldn't drink. He had an ice cream. You guys had a meal together. Well, let's get to it. First of all, let's get to the Biden stuff because he shows up to Ukraine out of nowhere. First president ever to go into an active war zone and go, "Hey guys, what's up?" What did that do for Ukrainians? Like, how do you look at that as not just a sign, but how do you translate that?
Well, I first read it on the group chats that there's rumors that Biden is coming. I didn't believe it. I thought, well, that's not possible. Mm-hmm. And then when I saw Zelensky, Biden walking in the downtown of Kyiv with the air raid sirens, that was such a fantastic news. It made my day. It made my week. It made my month. I don't know. It is such an important thing. Like there was such a huge spirit in Ukraine after his visit. It was really important.
Why is it so important to Ukraine that the leaders from the Western world visit you? What is it? Does it just galvanize what it is that you're trying to do, which is defend yourself from a dictator?
Yeah, that's like a year ago. I remember the feeling was that we are alone. We have to fight alone. NATO cannot come and fight for us. That's logical. We get some weapons, but there's not so big supplies. And now the leader of the biggest economy, biggest war power, I mean military power in the world, is in Kiev. I was supposed to be taken in 3 days by Kremlin. That is like very strong moral support. We don't care about what he was speaking about, but the fact everybody knows that he could not fly in. He spent at least 10 hours just to get to Kiev, and then 10 hours by train to go back, and that's, I mean, that's something.
It's a commitment, right? Like just a guy that is leader of the free world. He's in charge of the biggest war arsenal on the planet, and he's a partner and an ally for the Ukrainian people. And he showed up. Like, you know, here in Canada, we look at that like, oh, it's a photo op, right? Like, but in Ukraine, in an active war zone, that's not how the people of Ukraine looked at a visit from Joe Biden, right? Not at all.
Yeah, yeah. This is actually the third president who visited Ukraine since we got independent in 1991.
Yeah, but this is the first dude to do it in an active war zone. And by the way, I don't know if you checked him out. He looked like a boss, too. He's got the shades on. He's got the hot suit on. He's standing there with Zelensky. And they're literally just walking around downtown Kyiv, which is still, Alex, an active war zone, right? Like it is still, the entire country is an active war zone.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, there were missiles that flew right into Kiev, and we still have attacks on Kiev energy infrastructure. Our air defense is a lot stronger now, and I hope that the Patriots are already here, although the news do not confirm it.
They're there.
But they're there, yeah. Hey,
they're there.
I have an interesting observation. And it was something that I took from hearing about how they prepared to send Biden from Poland into Ukraine. And apparently it was top secret, but they did send a note to the Kremlin. And I'm wondering if you know about this. They sent a note that said, we're sending the president of the United States of America into Ukraine. Don't fuck around. I wonder what, and then nothing happened. I wonder if we can take anything away from that, or if I take something different away from that than you take away from that, Alex.
Well, yeah, of course we know it was on the news. In fact, I'm browsing the Russian mill bloggers, and of course they like, the United States wanted to get our consent that Biden visits Kiev. Bullshit like that. They asked our approval.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the fact that nothing happened, though, Alex.
Nothing happened.
What does that say about what this war really means between the United States and Russia?
Well, it just says that the United States is a civilized country that wants to make sure that nothing bad happens to the world leader, you know, and they are nice. And they informed Moscow. That's it.
I think it says that Russia's scared. I think they realize that they've overextended, even Putin.
Oh, but you know what? It's fascinating on this side of the ocean, right? To watch the posturing. That's what you're talking about. Like everything is kind of like we're all reading into new things, right? We're all reading into what this meant for Biden to go there, what it meant to the Ukrainian people. But like when you think about what's not just happening over there now, but you think about the effort to cover up certain pieces of information so that we don't get the full story. You know, it's fascinating because everybody likes to read into every little piece of minutia. Like that's what this means.
Yeah.
That's what that means. You know, Biden going there means this. And I had to hunt this morning. Like I was looking for like updates of Russian losses in Ukraine. I was like, you know, what are the numbers? Like, where are we at now? Because we haven't talked to Alex for a long period of time. And it was amazing how I got different information from different sources, right? Like, you know, countries that are supportive of Russia are saying, here's the new updated Russian losses map. 6,000 soldiers are dead. They've lost 4 tanks, 8 planes, that kind of stuff. And then when you actually get real information, and this is what, like, I mean, this is the world that we live in. We don't really see the real information. But when I got real information about some of the Russian losses, it was intense. Like, this is up to date as of today. Russian losses, 148,000 people dead, 6,621 APVs, 5,000 tanks, 3,000 tanks, 5,000 vehicles and fuel tanks, 300 airplanes. Like, you have to, like, and obviously Kyiv Independent does a great job, but are you getting that real-time information on your end too? Like,
Yeah.
do you kind of know where the situation is in terms of where Russia is at with, you know, the amount of troops that they have? I heard 97% of Russian troops are actually in Ukraine. Do you know what the situation is like on the ground? And then we'll get to Bakhmut, because I find that fascinating too.
Yeah, we get those updates every day, and I follow it. Like, and I see that by the way, within the past couple of months, the daily losses on their side is about 800, 900, which is a huge raise from what it was in fall, like 400,
What, per day?
500 per day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are those that died actually. So there's, but you said that Russia admits that only 6,000 died.
Mhm.
The Russian independent media actually did a huge research. They are collecting names from social media, from open resources, and they have actually a list of names. So the list of names already contains 15,000, 15. That's the
Yeah.
confirmed names of people who have died.
So it's almost 3 times what they're reporting. I heard an interesting stat that Russia was in Afghanistan for 9 years. They have lost more lives in this past year in this fight with Ukraine than they did in 9 years in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, these are World War I numbers we're talking about in 1
It's
year.
insane.
Like, it's a grinder, right? And one of the things that started to trend today, which I thought was funny, is Russia is collapsing. What are you hearing in terms of what's left, what they have left? I'm hearing they don't have any bombs left. I'm hearing the bombs they do have left and the cruise missiles they have left are derelict. I've also heard that they don't really have a nuclear capable arsenal at the moment. But I mean, hey, these are just things we're hearing. But are you hearing the same things? Like, are the cracks starting to get a little bigger, and is more information coming out? And what are you hearing in Ukraine that may or may not lend itself to the narrative that, you know, this is Ukraine's war to win?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We hear the same stuff that they are running out of ammo. We actually do too, but we have supplies from the West, and they have some supplies from Iran, and they're trying to get more from China, which we have to stand against. So they do not have any supplies. They just have to use their old ammo and missiles that are left, and we get more and more missiles. And by the way, several days ago, Ukraine started hitting targets over 80 kilometers, which
Mhm.
means that we are probably using those new missiles of GLSDB. Were developed jointly by Boeing and Saab, the Norwegian company, in 2019. So it's fairly new and very cheap, like $40,000 per piece. And they hit up to 150 kilometers, which means that the Russians have to, bag their supplies and ammo depots over 150 kilometers range.
Mhm. Which
So,
just adds to it, right?
yeah.
I have an interesting sort of thing happening to me here in Edmonton. So I do a morning show. I've actually had you on the morning show as well. I haven't just talked to you on the podcast. So and it's called The Locker Room, and it's me, a millennial, and a little person. But we do the news. And it's interesting when we get into conversations that are a little more touchy, how the audience responds. And I'm always shocked that anybody sort of gives us puts us up on any sort of pedestal of seriousness at all, just based on the shit that we do, right? It's like, why are like we're not a hard-hitting news outlet, but every single time, and I should almost start collecting these texts. Every time we do a story about Ukraine, somebody will send us a note. And the last one we got was last week when we were reporting on Biden and that he was there. And it was basically, you have a job to properly to give out the proper information, and you guys are failing in that job. And you're lying to the public. Do your research. There isn't a war. And it's shocking to me that we and I just basically, I respond with, I'm sorry, but you firmly have your head up your ass. Thanks for listening. Have a good day. I don't know. I don't even know where to start with that. But and it like, listen, I realize it's a very small portion of the audience that has somehow been convinced by, I don't know, somebody on a Facebook page or something. But
RT, a troll farm.
It's weird. It's so bizarre and so jarring when you see it. You're like, oh my God, there's somebody driving around my city right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is so stupid.
That's pro-Russia.
I'm scared they actually have a job and have a car and have money and maybe even kids. Like, God help us all. Like, it's weird times, man. Alex, it's so weird.
Yeah, that's really weird. But there's some percentage of people who still who believe that the planet is flat.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Oh yeah,
25%.
Alex just sewered all the flat earthers. Yeah, Alex is like probably a flat earther loser.
Yeah,
but you're not wrong.
We're in rough times. We're in rough times. I think part of it is,
but it goes to show, like just to quickly kind of recap, we got Alex on the phone live here, joining us on a live stream, recorded live stream, talking about.
Not live.
I know, but talking about what's going on, and this man has literally come face to face with the war. He had orcs try and steal his car. His building was bombed by Russian terrorists. He has helped rebuild parts of that city. He has helped feed people in bomb shelters as air raid sirens are going off. And we over here in Canada get a steady stream of what is fairly unbiased coverage of what is going on. And the unbiased coverage is heavily weighted in Ukraine's favor. But it goes to show, in my mind, like, if we have people over here that are well-educated or perceived to be well-educated, not the flat earthers, we know they're idiots, but if we have people over here who are well-educated who have fell victim to the brainwashing efforts on behalf of the GRU, FSB, and this is thousands and thousands of miles away, can you imagine the confusion in that area of the world, right? Like that's why when Alex, when we talk to you about, 200,000 dead Russians, obviously Russia's, the parents there are big uprising. Like, no, because the brainwashing that we see that you talk about is 100 times worse in that country, right? Like, that's the explanation is easy. It's
I get it now.
You know what I mean? It's like we have been, and everybody, and I see it, and I've got friends that have done it, Alex, like friends that are like, you're not really pro-Ukraine, are you? And I'm like, are you fucking serious right now? Like, that's the part that I if I'm you, I look at and I'm like, oh my God, like, how is it the people in the Western world are this stupid? But it's the brainwashing effort, is it not?
Yeah, you guys, not only you are pro-Ukrainian, but you are the fighters together with us. You're helping us to fight on the on the front of information. You're spreading the real information from this place. So I'm really thankful to you for helping us to win this war.
Yeah, I'm just
because
sorry
it's
we
more
have
than it is
our
more
share
than
of
just a
assholes.
front lines fight, right? It's a
Yeah.
battle. That's the interesting thing about where we're at with these engagements now is we have to fight this thing in the press, like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I
And
feel that. Like it's you know, that's why Canada's all in. That's why America's all in. That's why the free world is all in to Ukraine. That's why it's because we're not just like, dude, we're fighting what they're fighting, but we're fighting it over here too, right? Convoy, misinformation, disinformation, like all that stuff. That's the importance of Ukraine to me. Bakhmut. Can we talk about Bakhmut for a second? Am I saying that right?
Bakhmut. Yeah,
Bakhmut.
Bakhmut.
That this is the hottest of hot. Like this area is pretty incredible. What can you tell me about Bakhmut? Still stands in Ukrainian hands, as far as I understand. But what's the importance of Bakhmut and the battle that's going on there right now?
Oh, that is the hottest war zone since several months, I believe. In fact, because I'm just trying to reflect and what kind of message we can potentially send to these people who do not believe a war is happening. My neighbor, I don't know him personally, but he lives next door. Like he was in special forces of the Ukrainian intelligence fighting in Bakhmut. January 16th, he died fighting for Ukraine. We collected money for his grave, and we sent our condolences to his wife and an 8-year-old kid. And that's just one person. We collected money for drones for one of the guys, for one of the grandsons of another neighbor of ours, because he's fighting there. They need drones. The drones are like commodities there. They are being hit all the time, so they need new ones. And one drone costs some $3,000-$4,000, which is quite a significant sum of money. So he is fighting in Bakhmut. So Bakhmut is standing. It's being encircled every day. The Russians are trying to get more and more space, but they are just stepping with like some meters per day, and they are using all their live forces with the guns, with as little artillery or missiles as possible, and just trying to go in waves, like during the World War II. The one wave goes forward, being killed. Another one goes forward, takes a meter or two. That's like so crazy. I mean, like this is happening in the 21st century.
yeah,
Like old school warfare, where they send in lines of people, they get mowed down, and then they send over more people, and then that's what's happening in Bakhmut. And like 800-900 people a day. This is the area that we're talking about. I took this from the Guardian, that kind of gives us a brief outlook of what's happening. There's actually a counteroffensive going on in Bakhmut right now as we speak. That's my understanding. That was yesterday. Ukrainian forces launched a combined arms counterattack and their efforts to try and take that area. But what is the geographical, or I guess analytic significance of this area? Is it
what's the terrain like?
What you not only what's the terrain like, but why is the fighting as fierce as it is here, and why is this area so important?
And by the way, the forces that were trying to grasp Bakhmut were mainly from this private military company of Prigozhin, the cook
Wagner.
of Wagner, from Wagner Group. So those are mainly prisoners.
Jesus.
Yeah, so the prisoners who were, jailed for murders, and they are sent there. And the significance is that I think that this is actually, from what I understand, Putin gave an order to Prigozhin to take Bakhmut until the first anniversary of the beginning of the war. The order was not fulfilled, which is why Prigozhin is probably not in favor at the moment. Prigozhin didn't visit Putin's speech in the Kremlin on 21st week ago. Prigozhin had no idea what Putin was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So they are like, I feel there's some kind of a problem that Prigozhin has. Prigozhin was, for several days, he was like, I don't get any ammo from the Ministry of Defense. Give me ammo. He was like yelling publicly about it. So there's a big scandal there.
Oh.
So there's a quarrel between the Ministry of Defense, Prigozhin, and Strelkov, and so this is we are now watching the beginning of the huge conflicts in Russia.
Yeah, the infighting, and by the way,
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite things to watch. The Schadenfreude involved in watching bad people eat each other might be one of the great joys in my life. I don't know what it is. But anything is hope in Ukraine, right? Like even those words, like hearing that news that there's infighting, and the guy in charge of the mercenary group called Wagner Group, that's like got a bunch of guys with like BB guns running through the forest. Like he's screaming at his boss, and his boss is like, "Yeah, you just gotta do this and just keep sending these." But it makes no sense, right? But unless you like literally think about the goal here, and the goal here is what now for Russia? Like I don't see how they get out of this without, like, I was talking with my son about it. He's like, what's going on over there now? And I'm like, they're getting their asses kicked. Like, the Russians are literally getting their clocks cleaned. It is a fucking Ukrainian meat grinder. And he goes, well, when are they going to leave? I'm like, if you ask me, I said they'll leave sometime in the next year, and they'll say they cleaned up Ukraine for the Ukrainians and decided to give it back to them. That'll be like, that's what I've started to read from, like, not mill bloggers, but people that blog about this, is like an exit plan. Because like, that's all that's left, right? Other than some kind of nuclear holocaust, but like, it's exit plan city now at this point for Putin, is it not?
Exactly. That's what they have to start thinking about. But talking of positive signals as of last week, after Biden, the next positive signal, believe it or not, for me was actually Putin's speech, Putler's speech on Tuesday. Biden visited Kyiv on Monday, and then the next day, Putler had his speech. All mill bloggers expected that he will announce a real war. He will announce like total conscription of like millions of soldiers. He did nothing. He looked like a little boy, complaining that big guys attacked him. And that was it. I mean, and it was such a great news for me, and like in the entire world, even in Russia, they saw that he's like he's
showing
nothing.
Weakness.
Yeah, he's weak.
Yeah,
and that was for me like, that's it. They are done. They will be done within months. We will be watching how this empire will collapse on our eyes.
It's interesting that you say that's something that you saw from his speech, because some of the news, some of the coverage here in the West alluded to the fact that may have been a signal that he's ready to have a discussion about how to exit and how to, like, they thought, and I was like, how did they see that? So you guys are obviously reading into language from his past and how he has presented himself and this war. So I'm glad you reinforced that for me, because I saw some clips of it, and obviously it's being translated to us, but I didn't see that. But other people did. The other people saw what you saw, that was a sign that things could be, that he could be ready to sit down and have some kind of a discussion about how this does end, and he's going to want to have a conversation about how it makes him look. I think at least the coverage I saw was he's going to want to present this in such a way that he looks good coming out of it somehow, which I can't see that. Do you
That's
see that?
interesting.
Do you see some kind of a negotiation between Ukraine and Russia where the war stops
No.
and Putin gets his way?
No negotiations of the kind. The only negotiations happening are about the exchange of the detained the prisoners of war. That's the
Yeah.
only negotiations. No other negotiations. But Kremlin is now pushing all the parties around them to push on Ukraine to start negotiations, and we say no negotiations. Just the first condition: you get out of the country, and then we may think. We are strong; they are weak now, and they feel it. But what you said, Locke, is very interesting. So how it was presented on your television was that they are looking for looking for an exit.
Well, no, I mean, it was kind of insinuated. It was just, I didn't get that impression. So the fact that you caught signs of weakness from his speech and that other experts that are following this a lot closely than I am saw something in what he delivered. I just found it interesting that your analysis and their analysis lined up, that maybe there's a chance that Russia could be might be willing to sit down and have a conversation about how to end this.
But I don't think Ukrainians want to talk. That's
not
kind
about
of the
that though, Dean.
right?
I just that's what they're saying, that Putler showed signs of that in that speech, which I, again, like I said, I didn't see. But
I analyzed not even the speech itself, but the comments from mill bloggers on that, which was a lot more interesting than the speech itself.
Yeah, what were they saying? What are mill bloggers saying? Not just about his speech, but what are they saying about Russia's fortunes at the moment? Because I watched a video from one of the mill bloggers. It was embedded, and he's like, and all I could make out of the video was like, basically, this isn't good. Like, we got no ammo, we've got nothing. Putin's speech was weak. But what do you take out of that, and where how do you look at what the mill bloggers are saying now?
Well, exactly what you just mentioned. That's some of the mill bloggers who are probably the closest to the FSB and our finance, but with them, they were trying to find some kind of a way around, because they were really hoping that, yeah, we will come back and say that, yeah, now our leader now announced real war, not the operation. And they came back and they were like, okay, they denounced the stop of nuclear weapons agreement. That is a good signal. That is a good signal. So, and nothing else to say. It was so funny. Yeah, and some of them were really criticized. So there's a good thing is that there's Russia is a country where there's no criticism at all, and now there's more and more criticism.
Yeah, public criticism, like that's how you know that something's bubbling, right? Is the criticism from the people that are there to influence on behalf of the people who are now not influencing. They're saying, hey, we're fucked. Sorry, Locke, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, because I might be taking us down a path we don't want to go, but I'm going to throw it out there. Where are you at with your investigations? About 6 months into this conflict, I might have the timeline a little off, but you were approached and have been part of investigations into war crimes against Russia from certain areas in Ukraine. Are you still involved in that, Alex?
Sure, yeah. Well, in total, there's, if I remember correctly, more than 30,000 testimonies collected throughout the country by different organizations and bodies. We are just one of them. We collected 200, I think, about 200, of which I personally found 70 witnesses. But those witnesses are from all over the country and telling different stories of bombing, of humanitarian situation, of being detained and tortured, including electricity. I have two witnesses of this kind who actually were tortured by electricity, by people who who were witnessing murders, people who were actually killed, but they got alive and got out of the from the detention. So like all sorts of people in different stories from different regions, and that is an important part that will be part of the tribunal.
Mm.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Is there any truth to the rumors that Russia is grabbing kids and transplanting them in camps and schools to
re-educate, like they're kidnapping
them?
children out of certain areas in Ukraine and taking them to Russia?
Yeah, well, there are lots of news about that, especially from Mariupol. They just moved dozens of thousands of kids. I have not found any witness confirming that, but I'm sure there are already from those dozens of thousands of testimonies. There must be evidences of the kind.
Yeah, that's been one of those stories too around this conflict lock, and I'm glad you brought it up. One of those stories that you're like, oh my god, like are you serious? Like they're just stealing children, like that, and not to mention the death of so many children. I read the other day something in the neighborhood of 6,000 children have been injured or killed in this war, innocent kids in this bystanding, which, when you speak to other people, like you talk about other people saying this isn't real. I mean, some of the pictures that I've seen are very real, like in the things that you've seen, Alex, obviously very real. And that's what shakes me sometimes when I get an email or I get a tweet or I get a comment from somebody and they're like, wake up, this is that. And you're like, nah, man, you don't understand. You don't understand what's happening over there. And so it must, like, I watched, Alex, I saw your face when Lachlan brought up the idea that some people don't think there's a war over there and they're in civilized countries. I mean, that's just depressing shit, is it not?
I once was interviewed by CNN, and the anchor asked me, what would you say to people who still do not believe there is a war going on? And I just picked up my computer and I walked up to my wife, who was actually feeding the kid, and I showed her and the baby and said, then we are not real as well. I'm not real. My baby is not real. My wife is not real. That's what you mean. I mean,
you know what I think it is a little bit? I think people are having such a hard time, and this doesn't excuse it. But I mean, I say at least out loud once a week, like, it's 2023. What is going on? Like, what is happening? Listen, I realize I'm not a complete idiot. I'm not so naive to think that awful things don't happen around the world, but I don't know. You'd think at some point we would get better at this, that we'd figure it out. It's so disturbing. And I think maybe people are, if they're protecting themselves, maybe they're in a situation where they just can't take that information in based on how they're wired. So rather than take it in, they explore options and are seduced by options that it might not exist. And it makes them sleep better at night or something.
Saying they're fucking pea-brained idiots? Is that what you're saying?
Trying not to excuse it, but yeah, I don't know.
We're surrounded by it. It's not something we're ever going to get away from. Pea-brain idiots often do quite well in the social media society, and pea-brain idiots will believe anything that you tell them. And the attachment to this that I find really interesting too is the religious element, right? Because Vladimir Putin has made himself like the number one Christian in the world. Oh my God, like the attachment from on behalf of people in different denominations and different religious values, and they it's an attachment that lasts throughout the world. And I mean, like, fuck, that's the incredible part to me here too, is that you've got people that live in free democratic countries going, I like what that guy's doing, right? Yeah, that's my guy. And it goes back to an ideology more than it goes back to anything else, which is really part of what goes on down there. And I that's part that we haven't touched on, Alex, right? The people behind each ideologies that are now fighting each other. It's hard to explain. Like, it's hard to like literally explain to somebody, hey, listen, this isn't just about land. This is about competing ideology too, right? And the competing ideology that is being weaponized and torturing people in this country is shared by a billion people around the world, right? And to believe in that ideology, meaning big guy in the sky that rides around on a cloud and shoots magic bolts at people, to believe that stuff, you've got to be a special kind of individual in my mind. That's how I look at it. But I think it's a fascinating. I mean, everything that goes into it as far as who supports what is fascinating to me and always will be, because it feeds the narrative about who supports this, who doesn't, culturally, where people line up in terms of how this works. But this is literally the genocide of the Ukrainian people that we're watching. That's what this is. And so whatever ideology supports that, you should be very fucking careful, right? As individuals. How do you even do it? Like, Alex, how do you surmise that? How do you summarize the ideologies at play here? Or do you? I mean, is it something that you guys talk about over there?
That's a free world against dictatorship.
That's it.
One. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And by the way, talking of culture and ideology, I was driving my car in Bucha. Bucha, known for atrocities that happened a year ago. Just to remind everyone, 450 people were killed in Bucha alone in March last year.
Citizens, not soldiers. Citizens.
No. Civilians. Most of them with the hands tied behind their backs, or just people in the streets. And I know those streets. I know these people. I know the witnesses whose relatives were killed there. And I was driving my car in Bucha, and on the radio, I heard one of the most famous modern Ukrainian poets. She was speaking on the radio, and she said a very interesting thing. I was reflecting after it for a long time. She said, the Russian culture, as is known by the world, the Russian culture, Tchaikovsky, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, is actually a fake. A fake in the meaning that it is presented in the world as if it was a Russian culture, but in fact it is not. The real Russian culture was shown in Bucha. That is the Russian culture. Killing innocent people, raping teenage girls, looting supermarkets for alcohol. This is the real Russian culture, and everything else was like a coverage for this real Russian culture.
Is that ever fascinating? Is that their culture is barbarism? Yeah,
the real one, and the world didn't know it. The world was like, oh, Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, yeah. But
no.
if you ask 90% of Russians what books of Dostoevsky and Tolstoy they read, they would probably say none. They would never read those books.
It's a culture of oppression, right?
Yeah,
they've been under the thumb of
lies,
some level of
propaganda,
dictatorship for 1,000 years, Alex. Like, have they ever escaped it? Right? Like, what comes out of that? Like, I mean, when you have, that's a hardened people. Again, not defending it, but it's
almost like a 3 dressed as a 9. You know what I mean? It's like, we're going to talk about TikTok coming up and filters, like the old TikTok. Everybody's like, oh, I used to put a filter on my phone so it turns an ugly person like me into a better looking person, right? That's kind of what we're dealing with. It's like the perception of what Russia is more important than what Russia really is. And to be able to curate that perception around the world, the great PR disaster of the last 10 to 15 years, I mean, and I give them zero credit, but this is what they've been building towards, creating this perception so that they can garner support in and around the world among people who think that this is a Christian nation. They're not. They're just barbaric, torturous, genocidal individuals that run that country. They are, right? And the people in that country, and Alex, you've obviously spent time there. You've got relatives there. Do they feel like they're part of some kind of, religious spring uprising where do they believe those things, or do they believe they're a Christian nation? Do they believe ideologically they are descendants of the Tolstoys and the Dostoevskys?
I haven't been in touch with them for a year. Moreover, every acquaintance of mine who I asked about their connections to their friends and relatives in Russians, they said they have lost all connection.
Mm.
I just had a dinner with a friend of mine who used to be a chief executive officer of a huge bank in Ukraine with thousands of people. And he used to work in Russia about 6-7 years ago. And I asked him, well, because he has a lot more connections in Russia than I do. I asked him, so how is your connection with Russians at the moment? And he said, none. None. So we do not have any connection with them. But well, they've been brought by the government
Sanctions.
to be passive, to not participate. So it's like a total opposite from what the free world was actually building. To be slaves. I think that is a part of the agreement between the government and the people there, that we give you some services like good medical care, stuff like this, and you don't care that we steal, we build palaces, and that's and they just have this agreement.
It's like an unspoken agreement between the people of Russia and the Russian government. It's like, hey, yeah, you just give us a couple things, a little bit of vodka on the end of the month, maybe a couple of bucks here and there, give us some free health care, we'll do whatever you want. And they're like, yeah, no problem, we got this, don't worry. And meanwhile, they're getting robbed blind, and everything, all their infrastructure is dying and dead, which is, fascinating, because you're seeing it kind of come out. Again, 3 dressed as a 9. They wanted people to think that was the perception. Well, you get to the nuclear arms treaty that they just said, we're not interested in the nuclear arms treaty. We're going to be moving some nuclear weapons around. And a couple of American mill bloggers are like, that's because they don't really have any.
Well, and that they never had any intentions of following those rules anyway, was what I also heard. Like,
but I mean, it goes to the fraud of the country that is Russia, and you're getting to the end of the fraud now. Like, and that's what I'm waiting for now, because at some point, Alex, Locke, at some point, right, it's going to shake out. Like, they got to leave. They can't stay there. America showed us that when they pulled out of Afghanistan. Everybody's like, give us our shit back. Like, it's unsustainable. What we've seen is unsustainable. The losses are unsustainable. The will of the Ukrainian people have made it unsustainable. Like, guys like Alex, this is the 1-year anniversary. And I want to play this for you, Locke, because this is Alex talking about the 1-year anniversary. Very quick video. I believe he's wearing the same smart top he's wearing now. Excellent. Little yellow color, brings out your face.
High rotation and high rotation.
Yeah, high rotation. Sure. I like that shirt. But this is Alex on the year anniversary, which we just passed. What are we, 370? Day 370 now, if I'm not mistaken, in and around that. But watch this video. Like, this is a guy who's been at war for a year, seen some of the worst shit in the world. Look at the man's face.
The first year of invasion, we survived. The next year, we will win.
Hey, by the way, Alex, you know what you got to do tonight? You gotta share the expression you learned with your wife.
Yeah,
the expression about the wood.
Yeah. So what people can't see, ladies and gentlemen who are listening to this podcast, is Alex is in a very smartly appointed little podcast studio made for himself in his condo in Urpin. Now, behind him, he's done some work. A lot of wood. You have significant wood, Alex. Right behind you. I know you're a big fan of wood. Where do you get your wood?
All wood is not blood flow.
Yeah. And why is your wood bigger than mine?
I loved that we had
Is
about
Ukrainian wood
5 or
stiffer
6
than
minute
Canadian wood?
conversation before we started recording, where we were using the expression wood for the sole purpose of talking about the potential of Alex having a hard on, and then we had to explain it.
I said, nice wood. And he's like, thanks. And Lachlan starts laughing. And then I'm like, where do you get your wood? He's like, the forest. I'm like, ooh, that's incredible. I enjoy the forest too. And then I'm like, in Canada, we call wood is another name for boner or erection. And it was lights out. And then we started getting into the war stuff. And I'm like, I forgot the wood. So I really appreciate you bringing up the erection and wood stuff too, Lach. Thank you very much. But Alex, where do you get your wood?
The cedar.
Yeah, maple.
I'm learning something from you guys.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here, Alex.
Wait till I teach you about the Cincinnati backhander. That's a total other. That's
you don't
next
want to
level
know
stuff.
about that, Alex. And the rusty trombone. Don't bring it up.
Oh yeah, don't worry about that one. We'll
Rusty
teach you about that one when we're the what? The rusty trombone. Yeah, yeah. Or the Cincinnati bow tie.
Yeah, I got to take some notes.
No, you don't actually. Just Google it. And
Okay.
No, don't Google that.
Google it on someone else's computer, though.
Your bosses.
Okay.
You know what he's going to do tonight, right? Because he's got Wi-Fi and energy. Like Alex is going to go. He's probably writing this stuff down because he's like a well-educated, smart guy, detail-oriented. Tonight he's going to crack a glass of wine and he's going to go, Cincinnati bow tie.
Don't do blue waffle either.
Yeah, stay away from that. And 2 Girls, 1 Cup. Terrible time on the internet. Don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't ruin your whole weekend.
Alex, your kids, you had your son with you for a bit. I know we're running up against time, but your wife and kid still out of town. Obviously, you sent them when the air raid sirens got a little crazy. Your family back with you. Your son came to join you. Is that correct?
They are coming back in 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And by the way, the infrastructure is a lot better now. We have electricity, we have water, we have everything. For the past couple of months, we practically did not have any blackouts. So guys, it's like such a happiness to feel normal, to have everything. Yeah. And by the way, I sold my Starlink because paying $70 per month is a burden. So I sold it. I switched it to our typical internet connection costs $5 per month.
Screw Elon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you switch? Did you move out of Starlink because he was like, I'm turning off the drone activity on Starlink? Did you move out of Starlink because of that, or was it just too expensive?
No, it was too expensive, and I just I sold it with a big discount to the guys fighting by Bakhmut. By the way.
Oh, okay. So that's good. So you sold it to the guys actually fighting. You sold it to soldiers. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's exciting. I would do the same thing if I was there. Go and sell some guys some stuff that need it. Have you? I was going to say some. I was going to say you should sell some other stuff to the other guys and wait till it explodes and watch from the woods. Hey guys, here's a cake. Why is it ticking? Don't worry about it. You'll love the cake.
I'm in the forest getting some wood.
Yeah, I'm getting wood in the forest. You guys have a nice cake. That was a story that I loved. One of my favorite stories of they're terrible stories about a woman in Donbass that was making special cakes for some of the invaders. Have you heard that story?
I haven't heard.
She herself killed like 80 guys with her special cakes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, with a special taste.
Very rat poisony. She was putting rat poison in the cakes, and guys were like,
well, and they're probably so hungry, right? Because the supply chain is so bad.
Yeah.
Good for her, right?
Yeah.
Alex, it was awesome to see you again, dude.
So good.
It was so good to see you guys. I mean,
I think about you often. I think about you often, Alex. So
Yeah,
I'm glad we got to do this today.
Sure. Can't wait until you guys come here and we will celebrate the victory together.
I told you I'm going to start drinking when I go there again. I haven't had a drink in 5 years. I'm going to get hammered.
You'll get an ice cream just like Biden.
Yeah. That's good. You'll get an ice cream and you will like it, like Joe Biden.
Alex, Alex, if Dean doesn't drink, I'll have his share.
Yeah.
Okay.
He will. And 1 year ago, as of the last week, this was the scene, and I wanted to bring this up. There's you and Artie, just beautiful little picture of you guys taken a year ago, February 23rd. No beard. By the way, you look great with no shirt on.
Yeah, that was for the baby, you know. That was
Yeah. That's right. That's a thirst picture, by the way. You're making all the ladies on Twitter thirsty. But it's only a little more time, dude. And this was a profound picture of you and Artie, who was born right before the war started. And I want to tell you how much we appreciate you over here. I want to thank you again for spending some time with us. I want to apologize. I know we've all been busy trying to make this happen. But our home is your home. You're our friend, and just so grateful that you could spend some time with us. Great to see you smiling. Can't wait till the family's back with you. And of course, as always, my friend, Slava Ukraine.
Slava Ukraine.
Heroyam Slava. Thank you,
Go get 'em.
brothers.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
by the
Alex.
way, make sure you shine that wood up. It looks great.
Close the blinds when you do
Close the blinds when you shine your wood, dude. Oil it up, maybe
Everybody.
some Murphy's oil. I'll send some to you tomorrow. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, man. There you go. Alex Dayrabekov, my friend, your friend, Urpin Ukraine.
Good guy.
1 year on, one of the best. I needed that.
Yeah.
You know? Like
That's
I
good.
needed to hear from him. I needed to see him. We've been chatting back and forth. He's had some great news. The people of Ukraine are super excited, really stoked about their,
Mhm.
which is fucking crazy, right? When you think about it. Remember when the war started like a year ago and they're like, be over in 3 days, and everybody's like, oh, poor Ukraine. It was just like a foregone conclusion. We're a year and 10 days later, or a year and 5 days later.
Mhm.
It's all them now.
Yeah,
They're in the
yeah.
driver's seat. They can decide how it works. They can decide what happens now.
It's complicated, right? Like it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out for sure. I always learn a couple of things when we chat with Alex. Like I said, probably the one more significant piece this time around was, and not that we need to rehash this for any length of time, but when I was watching the news last week, people were talking about the fact that it seemed like Putler wasn't himself, right? That he was, that there was expectations that he would do something else. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll trust you. But to have Alex reaffirm that was nice. Right. Yeah. It'll be,
It's awesome. I mean,
yeah.
just the look on his face, and
Yeah.
not just the look on his face, but like his spirit, his mood. He's a very
Yes.
layered individual. Like, you get through these conversations with him, and he has the ability to kind of take it down to an emotional level, a demure level, but he also has that ability to be able to bring it up to a point where it's like, hey, this is funny. Let's laugh about me going to watch Avatar. Let's laugh about a woman who poisoned a bunch of Russians with rat poison cakes. But then he also has the ability to saliently kind of offer, his opinion on what's going on around him. And by the way, that is an unfettered opinion. Like, he is not a politician. He is a business guy. Who's still at work, and he is just a dude. Like, he's just a Ukrainian dude.
Well, and not only that, was critical of Zelensky before the war, before the election, didn't vote for him, didn't support him, didn't see what Zelensky would bring to the table. And not only that, has since admitted he's a massive fan and that he was wrong, which is an interesting thing to watch, right? I mean, I'm always reminded of, when we have him on, always have these moments where I feel guilty about my comforts, right? Like this morning, I was bitching about the 6% liquor tax from the federal government on April 1st.
Of course you were.
I was also angry that I couldn't find a Wendy's open this morning at 5:00 in the morning because I wanted a Wendy's sandwich. And I have some coupons.
Oh, the new breakfast sandwich?
Subaru.
You talking about the new Wendy's breakfast sandwich? It is fucking lights out.
But none of the Wendy's
Lights
were
out.
open they weren't open until 6:30, and I was angry about that. And then we have Alex on, who literally puts videos up every couple of months of missiles flying over his apartment building. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking wild, right? Like,
It's crazy.
and it goes to show how entitled we are. This made me laugh. To your point, day 337, that's Alex and his son. Just imagine yourself sleeping at night peacefully, and then boom, we wake up at night from a very loud explosion. I have never heard anything like this from any day the war started. It was scary. Our air defense downed another Iranian drone. We went back to bed. And there's him smiling with his son with the picture. He's like, we just went back to bed. No big deal. Can you imagine the pants shitting that would go on here if people heard an explosion and they knew that there was a rocket that was coming over their head?
I just I can't. I'm so worried. Pussies. Like, honestly, I'm so worried about the possibility that we would have. Are you watching The Last of Us?
Oh,
every time I watch that, I go,
see, last
it's
episode?
Over for me.
What do you mean it's over for you? Like you would never be able to survive?
Zombies start climbing out of I'm going to be one of the first ones dead. I am.
Yeah.
I don't know how to take care of myself. I can't grow anything.
No, we're not hard people. We are not like we are pussies. Like, and we like to say, we're the people of the North. We the North, right? That's the thing. We're from the
No, we're a bunch of losers.
We're from the North, but we live in these fucking big houses, and we have people come and deliver us food all the time, and we never go anywhere, and we're the softest people on the fucking planet. And to your point, I'm watching Last of Us last night. By the way, I didn't enjoy that last night's episode. Did you watch it? Have you seen the last episode?
It's the first episode I've had. This was episode 6 or 7. Six. It's the first episode where I didn't go, that's the best one. But I understand why they did it. I think they wanted us to see the origin story. Hold on. Spoiler alerts.
Of the young lady.
Yeah.
In question.
Yeah. So Ellie, and I think they wanted to show why she is so dedicated to Joel.
Yeah.
And why she won't give up on him.
Even though he gave up on himself, and I won't say anything else. Not another word.
We'll leave it at that. But I think that was an important part of the development of the story. That's the sense I got at the end of it. Because it really, there was too much time in the mall.
Right? The mall. I was like, this is not my favorite episode. Why? Because it was like 40 minutes in a mall and just kind of hanging out in the mall. And I'm like, this is like my 13th year in an hour, like me just watching people walk around a mall. And listen, I'm not going to give away what happened, but to your point, it was like, okay, we're going to spend 10 minutes at a video game arcade in a mall, just kind of hanging out. Like,
yeah.
But then it surprises you because the action really fucking picks up and it goes for it, right? Which I love.
I think what happened, because I listened to the podcast today.
Yeah.
Because HBO has an official pod. I'm such a loser.
Fucking blows my mind that you listen to those post-show podcasts. Like, I don't know any man on this planet that's like, fuck, I got to listen to them talk about that show that I just watched. The women do it like with The Bachelor.
I'm really loving this show.
Totally. I got to listen to it too. I find it interesting, though, that you're like, I want more on The Last of Us.
I'm really intrigued by this whole story. Anyway, and I never played the video game, but I just love the thought that they put into this story. What they were saying about how much work it took them to develop that mall, and it was in Calgary, and what they had to do. I think it was kind of one of those things. Well, you know what? We're going to make the
Calgary?
best of this.
That was a Calgary mall?
Yeah. Yes. This is one of those. This is a set, and this is what it took us so much to shoot what we wanted to shoot. And the vision was so huge and so important in the minds of the people that built this story that I don't think they would have been able to walk away with a 10-minute version of it.
Now, are the people in Alberta, that's a great point, but are the people in Alberta, like, especially into The Last of Us, because it was like basically filmed in Alberta, Edmonton, Calgary?
You know what? Honestly, I thought that. I thought that this was going to be a show that was huge here because we thought it would be cool to see the train bridge and Lethbridge or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not that. This is a really good show, and I think people are loving it regardless of the setting. So I think Albertans are initially may have tuned in because they thought it would be kind of cool to see things that they recognize. But now I think people are into this show because it's so well done. It's such a great show.
I mean, even the origin story of how people became zombies in The Last of Us is somewhat believable, right? Like, it's one of those ones where it's like, fucking people don't just turn into zombies. Like, what kind of genetic thing? And then they explain the genetics around it. You're like, ooh, like I was hooked from the beginning because I'm like, this might be a possibility. We might see
Yeah.
mushroom zombies. And I don't want to give it away anymore. I'm not giving away anymore. No spoiler alerts. No nothing.
Can I
but
make
a fucking phenomenal show? Yeah,
Can
go
I
ahead.
make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Because we're an hour in, and I know you want to talk about the fact that TikTok was
It's been
banned by
in Canada. Yeah.
by the Canadian government. Is it just for Canadian government employees, federal employees?
Yeah, announced it
Not
today.
all
The privacy commissioner announced that Canada is going to open combined federal provincial inquiry into TikTok. Not only are they going to announce a federal inquiry into TikTok's data collection and privacy rules issues, they're also banning TikTok in Canada, following the United States, UK, and a few other countries on civil servant devices, meaning
civil servant device. So if you're just
if you work
if
for
you're
the
just a
government, you
normal
can't have it on
citizen,
your phone.
but if you're
Yeah,
just
you
a
can have
normal dude, you could have
Yeah.
it, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think we need to talk more about that, because that's an hour-long podcast in and in itself. We should maybe do one tomorrow, and we'll do it on TikTok. See what I'm doing here? I'm teasing the next show. It's an old radio trick.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, because we talked about.
Before I go though,
Go ahead.
I do want to tell you my toenail story.
It's gross. It's one of the grosser stories I've heard. Did you email me or did you text me that picture?
I texted you the pic of my foot. I can show it to you though quickly too though. So, can I explain what happened?
Yeah, please.
So, this takes a little backstory. I had ingrown toenails when I was a kid. Chronic. In and out of the hospital, the doctor's office in Cranbrook every couple of months. And the first thing they started to do was they started to cut wedges down. I wanted to do this on the podcast because we have video, right? This morning I'm trying to explain this on the radio, and it's like there's no imagery. Like I can't.
Yeah, I'm getting the video. I'm getting the video right now.
Okay, so anyway, they would cut down because my toenails grow like this into my toe, right? And on the sides. So they would take and they would cut down and wedge it and pull it out. And then they would put a little bit of acid in there to try to kill the growth of it. None of that worked.
This makes
in
my
and out of
asshole
the
pucker. This conversation makes my asshole pucker so bad.
In and out of the doctor's office the entire time I was in high school. And then when I turned 17 or 18, just before I left, the doctor said, "Listen, we got to do something. We got to get rid of your toenails. This is a problem." So he started to pull them out. And then the last time I saw the guy in Cranbrook, and this is the last time I saw a doctor, he pulled the toenail out and said, "Now I'm going to go in," and he did this while I was awake, "and I'm going to remove the toenail bed." So he cut into my toe right here, my big toe, opened it up, and took this little spoon. It looked like a little cocaine spoon, and he scraped.
How do you know what those look like? Never mind.
Listen.
Keep going. All right. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I had a misspent youth.
Okay. Go
Anyway,
ahead.
I'm an addict. That's come up, right? So anyway, he cuts the bed of my toe, goes in with this little cocaine spoon, and he scrapes the bone, the bed, and then sews me up. I got to walk out of there on crutches. It took a month or two to heal before my foot felt right. And he said, "It'll never grow back." I'm literally on my own now. I think I was in Kelowna at the time. And guess what? The cat came back. And they came back meaner and angrier than they ever were. Now, I also have this problem where all the quick's gone. So now they're like this freaking thick. And they grow out and they don't stick to my toe. There's no bed. Okay? There is, but it's like halfway down. So now what I got to do is, because they still grow into my damn toe, now over the years, what I've done is I've just tried to maintain it. I can't cut them with toenail clippers. So about once every 4, 5, 6 months, I got to do at-home surgery on my toes. And it depends on where they're at. And sometimes I cut it down and I can remove the whole toenail and then I just got like sort of a little nub sticking out, right? But last night, because I don't have a lot of toenail, it's not that long. I was like, I just got to get a wedge out because it was growing in on my left foot. It was growing into the side of my toe on the one side. So I took my wire cutters and I cut down to wedge it out.
I took my wire cutter.
I use wire cutters. I should have brought them up to show you. I swear to God, I can't cut them with anything else, Steen. I mean, I have a pair of toenail wire cutters in the junk drawer in the kitchen.
10 snips. You took 10 snips to your toenail to cut that first gnarly piece out, that wedge out. Yes.
So anyway, I do that.
My asshole is on fire right now just listening to this story. Continue.
I cut down, and then I grab the wedge, the piece that's causing me the issue, and I'm going to yank it out.
Now, do you use the 10 snips to grab it, or do you use plier? Do you use like needle nose pliers?
I use I have a pair of needle nose pliers for my at-home surgery as well. And there's always bleeding, so I'm prepared. I got paper towel and everything.
Yeah.
So I grab it and I wiggle it, and it's pretty loose, I realize. And then I give it a yank. My whole toenail comes off.
There it is.
I ripped my whole. Oh, I don't have to show it.
That is okay. So 2 things about this. We might get dinged by YouTube because it's very gross. That is, yeah, it's gross. It's gross, dude. It's gross for a number of reasons. Couple things we got going on here. The toenail is an issue that looks a lot like Aaron O'Toole. B, the hair on your toe knuckles is absolutely disgusting.
What's wrong with hair on your toes?
It's gross. Grosses me out. It's one of those things that's always grossed me out. Hair on toenails, hair on knuckles, hair in general, anywhere on people's bodies other than the head. So that grosses me out. But I want to point to between the toes here.
Oh, there's a little dirt in there.
Dude, that's not a little dirt. That's like the world's worst athlete's foot combined
no, that's
with
not
like, were you
foot.
running
That's
through
just
the garden?
No, dude. Once I did that, which was on Saturday at like noon.
Yeah. Do you not wash between your toes? Like when you're in the shower, do you wash between your toes?
Yes, I had to bag my foot though, because I had it bandaged up, and I haven't been able to get any water on that part of my body because I'm trying to keep my foot dry. As you can tell, it needs to heal up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is horrendous. That is the worst foot. Like 2 things I thought when you sent me that picture. A, the guy doesn't wash his feet. Sorry, 3 things. Doesn't wash between his toenails. We're going to have to talk about that. Wash between his toes. Second thing I thought was like, oh my God, at-home surgery is a terrible idea. The third thing I thought was...
That's the first time I've ever accidentally yanked my own toenail off.
That might be the toughest son of a bitch I've ever seen in my life. Because if you have removed a toenail, ever, it fucking hurts. It's one of the worst pains on the planet. I broke my back. I would rather have that pain than the pain of ripping off a toenail. This is why they used to use torture devices by taking nails off of people. If you don't like that's so A, you don't wash your toenails. B, you're the toughest son of a bitch I've ever met in my entire life.
No, I'm a big wimp. I think part of the reason why I don't have as much pain I was shocked because I mentally prepared myself for the removal of the wedge. I was shocked when the whole toenail came flying off. Right there, I must not have cut enough of it, and so it was attached to the base of the nail, and so when I yanked it, it was so I wasn't ready for that, and that shock sort of masked a little bit of the pain. Plus, I'll tell you, with all the issues I've had with my feet, my big toe over the years, it's just all scar tissue, man. Like I've just destroyed my foot's a mess.
Yeah. Just cut it off. You don't need a big toe.
I'm going to try to keep my big toe. I don't know why.
Do what the sealers used to do back in like the 1800s and in the early 1900s. You know what they used to do? Used to get this thing called sealer finger. It's where you're like sealing, and this finger was, I guess, the index finger. It would like freeze. And instead of giving themselves a break while they were sealing, this is how tough they were. They just cut the fucking finger off. That's all they do.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And by the dozens. Like guys would just be like, the finger doesn't work. Just chop it off and you get back to sealing. So you got sealer's toe and you're tough and you tried to take care of it yourself.
Right.
That's old school. And the other thing is that with healthcare being the way it is, he probably would have been waiting like 8 months to have that.
I have a bump on my hand that the doctor said I need to remove. I started trying to get them to remove it in about 2015. So
7 years in, 8 years in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you did your own home surgery.
That's why I'm at home doing my own
surgery. A lot of people would shit on you for that. I happen to think it's pretty fucking miraculous that you can do your own at-home surgery with some stuff that you had in your toolkit down in the basement. It's pretty awesome. All right. Anyway, thanks for doing this.
So if we do a show tomorrow, let's talk about TikTok.
Yeah, we are.
Show tomorrow.
We are due because it fucking freaked me out. Like,
yes.
Not the TikTok thing, but it's, hey, listen, let's talk about what TikTok is. We'll do that tomorrow. How about what it's going to do to young women? Have you seen the filter on these things? And I'll leave you with this.
I don't want to see this.
It makes everyone good looking. Like, everyone. I'm going to show you this. Like, women don't stand a chance. Tomorrow, TikTok, we're talking about this. Watch this.
Okay, so I know, like, everyone's like, oh my God, you can't even, like, tell it's a filter anymore. Girl, I look yassified. Hold up. Y'all, I'm crusty as fuck. All right? Just be crusty. It's fine.
Can you believe that shit? Can you believe the change that filter makes to people's faces?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could use a bit of it.
Yeah, me too. I was like, women under the age of 40 should be banned from using it because it just will kill everybody's confidence. People over the age of 40 should be forced to use it. Absolutely. Specifically, guys like you and me. That would straighten out our teeth. It would whiten everything. I'd have eyebrows for the first time ever. Anyway, we'll talk about it tomorrow. TikTok.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Thanks for doing this. Lachlan Cross, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can find him at 957 Cruise FM. .ca is where you can get a hold of him. Watch his morning show every single weekday morning. Listen to it if you're in the beautiful city of Edmonton. 957cruisefm.ca. Follow him on Twitter as well. Lachlan Cross at Lachlan Cross on Twitter. Thanks to Alex Dayrabekov. Folks, follow him. He is such a great follow. He is such a good man. And if you want to follow real information coming out of Ukraine, Alex Dayrabekov is your guy. Dayrabekov, just like it sounds. That is his Twitter handle. So make sure you give him a follow. Follow him on Facebook as well. And if you could support him, some information there to be able to send him some money so you can buy people cookies and tea and all that stuff. Should be in his bio as well. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow right here on this very program. And I want to thank people for making this possible, including Ed's Fine Imports. His Gitch or our Gitch. They should be your Gitch too. Luxury boxer briefs. We are brought to you by Gitch, the best underwear on the planet. Men need underwear. Men need underwear that fit no matter the size you get. They've got your color, got your size, and these are the underwear that have the pouch in the front. Yeah, these are game changers, kids. Game changers. Gitch is breathable. The waistband is incredible. They've got tons of sizes, a bunch of colors. Made in Canada for Canadians. Go to edsfineimports.com today. Order. He'll send you a pair, and you use promo code GITCH3, GITCH, and then the number 3. Send you a pair for free, edsfineimports.com. Also, our friends at cantork.com, Talking Torque, the name of the new podcast. Dude, Colin just launched it. It's up right now at the network, Talking Torque. If you want to know about tool assembly, if you want to know about the industry itself when it comes to bolting, loosening, fastening, and torque wrenches, if you want to know about racing, he races with Alex Tagliani, part of his team, his entire NASCAR team, and he's getting his schedule ready. This is your guy. Canada's assembly tool experts. They make rugged, hardworking, beautiful torque wrenches, rail, heavy machinery, nuclear, mining. If you have an application for a fastener and you cannot figure it out on your end or a loosener, these are bolting projects. Doesn't matter what it is. They have your solution. Beautiful torque wrenches, Canada's leading industrial tool experts, giving you the very best of themselves. Good old Canadian boys that brought all the manufacturing back to Canada. They make everything here in Canada. They are Canadian designers. They are Canadian manufacturers. Nobody does that anymore. That's why I love these guys, and they love you too. So Talking Torque, go and subscribe to his podcast. Make sure you do yourself a favor. Go to cantorque.com if you are in the business and in need of a solution. Cantorque.com. Check them out today. Also, last but not least, kivlaw.ca. My friend Rob Kivlikin might be the best lawyer on the planet. Not only does he have a team of lawyers that are there to help you get your life back, understand that you need legal help 24/7. You can speak to a lawyer 24/7. Go to kivlaw.ca, hit the button on the right-hand side, speak to a lawyer. Any assault, white-collar crimes, civil litigation, any offense, doesn't matter what it is. Have you been wrongfully arrested, or did you just simply make a mistake and you got to get your life back in order? That's your guy. Southern Ontario's best defense team. Go to kivlaw.ca for more information. Check him out today. That's it for us. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow on this very program right around 3 or 4 o'clock. And until then, don't forget, everything we do is available at our parent company. Go to crier.co, Crier Media, where people make content for each other and for you. Go to crier.ca for more details today. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. Make sure you go to YouTube to do that for us as well. Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. Dean Blundell TV on Twitch, anywhere you get your fine podcast, Google, Amazon, Spotify, etc. Oh, and Apple. Don't forget Apple. Apple needs the love too, etc., etc. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye.